Welcome to Mountain Man Explore the Truth. How's everybody doing today or tonight, depending on the time you're listening to the podcast? I hope you guys are doing well, my friends. Tonight we're going to be welcoming on Martha Ivory. I think if I'm pronouncing her last name correct, but she can correct me on that as well. She is involved with researchers over there in the Hudson Valley as well. I believe she's in that location, and she's out researching with Gail Betty. So it's another person that she's connected to. So that's pretty cool to bring Martha on. She's had mind speak with Bigfoots, and she talked about being a medium. So I'm really interested in bringing her on to let her talk her, encounters, experience, and all the research that she's getting into this. Really, really honored to have her come on the show. I'm the first podcast that she's coming on, so hopefully she'll enjoy it and be a good experience for her. So we'll be bringing on her shortly. So let's plug in some information, guys and gals. If you had an encounter and like to come on the show, email me at mountainmanett@gmail.com. Again, mountainmanett@gmail.com. Or you can private message me on Facebook. Look for Blake Botel. So if you guys like to come on the show, don't be shy. Come on the show, guys. I'd love to bring you on and talk to you about your experience or research, stories. You bring it on here and I'll share it, guys. I'm really stoked to be back on, podcasting, and I'll just get better and better at it. I apologize if I have a tongue roll here and there. I have a little bit of a speech problem sometimes with words and smart words, so I apologize for that. Some words I'll pronounce wrong because I'm stupid. I'm not afraid to say I'm stupid. I'm not the smartest person in the world, I do my best. I'm not the greatest with technology, but I'm getting better at it. So I really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to the show and, share it. So if you listening to it on Spotify, please follow the follow button and share the show. That's the most important thing to the show. And YouTube, if you like being on YouTube, I got my YouTube going as well, so you can subscribe and share that as well. I really look forward to keep going on this journey and exploring the truth with you guys. We're doing this together. It's not just me. We're exploring the truth to find out what's really going on in this crazy world we live in. So stay tuned. We'll be bringing Martha on. Thank you. Today we welcome on Martha. Martha, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's an honor. Go ahead and tell people a little bit about yourself and how you're connected with Gail.
Well, a little bit about myself. I'm 76 years old, but sometimes I don't feel 76. Well, I tell people I'm really 29.
You definitely look younger.
Oh, thanks. And I've been, it just was a fluke, like the way that things happened within the past few months, and how my experience intertwined with what Gail, my friend Gail, does is really kind of weird. And I actually have to get 2 knee replacements. And my knees are really bad arthritically, but I think they're that way because I've done bodybuilding all my life, and I was pressing like 365 pounds with my legs, and that's probably what killed my knees after a while.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I like doing bodybuilding.
That's awesome.
But then after a while, when you get older, you just get involved in other things, or the gym moves, or somebody else takes over and does something else. And I don't feel like driving an hour to another gym. So either I work out at home or I don't work out. So anywho, my knees have been bothering me for a long time. And I would say maybe about 5 years. It's about time I had something done with them. So my daughters would tell me, I have 4 daughters, and they would tell me, "Mom, go to the park and walk around the park." They have like an asphalt path that goes around this whole park that is it's almost like my residence. I live on top of a mountain, so the park is not too far from me, and it's also on a mountain. And so I went down there, and my husband came with me, and I brought my cane with me, and it was so beautiful. It was like the beginning of October, and the sun was out. The leaves were still on the trees, just beautiful. There's a creek not too far from the asphalt pathway that goes around the park, and they have picnic tables off of the path with some garbage cans, if you're eating your lunch or something.
Hmm.
So I walked from my car to the second picnic table, which is like a cement picnic table, and next to it was a green garbage can with a plastic bag in it. And my husband, he's like a little kid. He just likes to experience the creek and walk around down there at that time the creek was running slow because we haven't had much rain here. But he likes to walk around down by the creek, and I sat by the picnic table because my left knee was really hurting from walking, but I just figured I haven't really walked that long of a distance, which to me was long, maybe about 200 yards from the parking lot where my car was. And I sat down by the picnic table and just rubbing my leg, and I smelled something like fish. I figured, well, maybe somebody had a sandwich or something and they threw their garbage in the can next to me. So I didn't think too much of it. I was just thanking God for the beautiful day and the amount of time I walked down to that picnic table and sat down. I was just thanking God for the beautiful day and walking around the park. So after I smelled that first smell, and I assumed it was from someone having lunch, the smell got stronger, and I just shook my head. And then it got really strong. It was so strong that I wanted to throw up. But then I said to myself, I'm talking out loud in my head. Then I said, you're rude. You're really rude. And it's really bad that somebody has to go out of their way, that you have to go out of your way to make me feel uncomfortable because my knee is killing me. And if you think I'm going to get up and walk because of that smell, you're crazy and you're evil. Do you know the smell went away immediately? It just stopped. So then I just shook my head and I got up and I started walking down further on the path where my husband was. He says, come on, you can make it. There was like a pump house a little ways down from the path. He says, come on, you can make it. You can walk. And so I passed, I was going down there, and then off to the left of where I was walking on the pathway, there was a little path that led to a little area that had a tree that looked like it fell there a long time ago, and the bark was off of it. Well, there was a woman sitting down there, and I didn't want to disturb her. So my husband said, come on, you can walk down past the pump house. And I just looked at him like, just saying to myself, are you crazy? I don't think I'll be able to make it down there that far. And then the woman got off of that tree she was sitting on and came up to me, and she says, well, I'm getting up now and you can sit there. There's no stress. But when I looked at her, I automatically knew that she was a ghost because she looked like she just got out of a coffin from a long time. And now there's a story behind that. And so to myself, I said, you're a ghost.
Wow.
And she walked away from me. She smiled. Her hair was straggly, dirty blonde. She had on blue jean shorts and a white top. And she just walked away from me to go back down towards the parking lot where my car was, because you can't take a car down that way. It's only for bicycles or walking. And as she walked away, she disappeared. And my husband came back and he says, "Did you see that?" And I says, "Yeah, but don't pay any attention to it because I see that all the time. I'm psychic and I've been that way all my life. I think it's a gift." Had trouble with it when I was younger because my mother never sent me to school, or my relatives would come over and ask my mother questions if I could find this or that, or tell them things of the future. What my mom would just put me in the attic or someplace and she'd say that I'm not around. And eventually, I guess they got the message. But there's another time I had to tell people, like one time the bank was robbed in this town, little town I lived in, like Mayberry, RFD type of town. And I dreamt about these two guys where they were hiding out. So my uncle was a cop and he kept asking my mom if he could ask me questions. And so she says, "Oh, go ahead." And then I told them where they were hiding out. And don't you know, they found him. They found his car because I told them where the car was, but they couldn't find the money, the the bags of money that they took, until later that year. My cousin and I went to this little area where we would play climbing trees and things like that. And I told my cousin to stick his hand in that hollow in that one tree. And he looked at me. I said, "Go ahead, I dare you. I double dog dare you." So he did. And then he pulled the money out of out of the tree in the bags. We got new bicycles at the time.
Oh, wow.
But that's what things like that have happened in my life. But getting back to the pathway that I was on and the ghost walking away and disappearing, I had went back to that area where I was sitting, where that lady was sitting, and my husband, again, he just walked away. And I was just thanking God and looking up at the trees. There were all different kinds of trees there. And the creek or the brook was running by. It was very small and there wasn't much water, like I said. So it was just trickling down. And as I was sitting there looking up at the sky, the blue sky, I wasn't afraid because things like this happen all the time to me. So I looked up and there was this massive, huge animal standing up on his 2 feet. And his chest was huge. It was like 4 foot wide. And he had like a copper color fur. And his face was black. And he was tall, like 9 feet tall. And I just looked at him and I said, "You know, you're so different. You're beautiful." That's what I said to him. I said, "You're just gorgeous. And I respect you." And like I do all animals and people, I respect you and I thank you for showing yourself to me. And he told me his name, but I can't remember it. It was started with the letter V and it was long. So I said to him, instead of me remembering that long name, why don't I just cut it in half and call you Verka, Verka? So he didn't say anything. So I guess he understood what I was talking about. And I said, "This is such a beautiful area and I respect the area and the trees that are here. They're just gorgeous." It was so peaceful and calm. And I walked out and I said, "Thank you very much. Thank you. I really, I respect and I love you. And you're such a nice creature wherever you came from." I said, "I just respect you a lot. Thank you." And I got up to walk away. My knee wasn't hurting then. It was like I didn't even have any pain. And then my husband met me up on the walkway and I walked from there to my car without stopping because usually now when I walk a little ways and stop with, I have my cane with me, and then I walk again and stop because my knee hurts a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I finally got back to my car and I turned around to get, I opened the car door and I turned around and looked back to the same area where I saw him the first time. And I waved to him and I said, thank you. I said, I'll be back. And so weeks had gone by and I went back often to the first picnic table where I first experienced that smell. And then I just kept saying, I respect you and I think about you often. I hope I see you again. And then at that time, I didn't see him again. And then it was the end of October and I went back again and I saw him again. And I said, look, I can't walk too good. So I might be here sporadically, but I won't be back as often as I come here since I first saw you. I kept telling him he was beautiful. So, but I did walk down the path a little ways to where this tree was. And I looked at the tree and it looked like the front part of the tree was off and there was no bark there. And it looked like the middle had rotted out or something, but oh my God, there was a face in it. It was a face of a man, an older man, whether it was a human or a creature, I don't know.
Wow.
But he was beautiful. And I sent you the picture. He has a long beard and his eyes. And so whenever I go back there, I just look at him and tell him, whoever it is, that they're beautiful and I respect the area. I think that's what they need to hear. They don't want, they often, I hear him through my mind and he thanks me for respecting him, but they don't like to be hunted. They don't like to be called Bigfoot. He likes to rather, he would rather I call him at or refer to him as Sasquatch and not Bigfoot. Um, and there's a story behind, there's a reason why that area specifically has ghosts and has Sasquatch there. And I didn't find out till a little bit later why. And that was because a friend of mine told me about Gail Beatty of Bigfoot researchers of the Hudson Valley. And I contacted her and I told her everything I just told you, a little, more so than what I told you, because sometimes I remember things and sometimes I don't. But I'm not lying. I don't make this stuff up. I'm not looking for anything but telling people, you specifically, of people who do research, because I'm not out to make any money or nothing
Exactly.
like that.
You know,
I'm 76 years old and I really, I'm telling the truth. I just don't make up stories. So
well,
anyway, she understood and she met me there with her crew and her team on November 3rd. It was a beautiful day. And they had a lot of instruments they brought with them and high definition cameras, things like that. They had a graph that would light up if they had a high white frequency. So anywho, we just walked to that area where I saw the ghost and they were taking pictures and everything. We got there and she blessed the ground and did like a sanctifying the area that we were in with sage and prayers and things like that. And I sat down on the that tree that fell down near the creek. And the one team member's name is Brian. And he says to me, I'm picking up on a lot of frequencies. And this instrument he has somebody who like a high frequency text. They talk back. Either it's Sasquatch or a ghost or whoever.
Interesting.
Well, he received a message from a Indian chief, a Native American chief. Now, in that area, there was at a long time ago, back in 1853, and I've researched this with the historian of the town where I live at. So, and that area is in the same town, we'll say the mountain town. And at that time, from 1853 to the 1920s, that area that I had walked with the park and everything was once a farm. And I believe the last name started with the word Pam, Pam, something. And the farm had a house where the homeless used to live in that area. And what they would do is they would work the farm with the animals and they raised corn. And when they were finished, they would go back into this building that today is still there, but they fixed it up. You know, now it's a county something or other.
Okay.
And so the homeless lived there. And also back in 1853, there were 3 tribes of Indians that lived there, Native Americans. And one was the Lenape, or people call it Lenape. Then there was the Mohawks and the Mohegans. And in 1853, I can't think of his name. Like I said, I'm not good with names. But
Oh, I hear you. I'm just the same way. I get bad with names. Before we go into the what you're about to talk
William
about.
Penn, that's who it was.
Oh,
William
really?
Penn.
Okay.
Had,
Well,
had made a treaty with the Indians and the people that lived in that area where the farm was and the town at the time.
gotcha.
And so the homeless went to this place that they stayed there, and then they worked the farm in the area. And after a while, when people got sick, in the back of this big building that's still there, they had a house that was not familiar to me, but they called it the Pest, Pest house. And that's
Okay.
where people went when they were sick. Now, back in the day, they didn't have what they have today in regards to technology or medicines. And people died there in that house they called the Pest House. And back in, I would say 1950s of our time era, they burnt that house down. But at that time, back 100 years ago, the people died there. And what they did, they buried them in the area behind this particular house, now building, humongous building. And they buried them. They dug holes and they put them there, but not with no box. They just put them in the ground and covered them up. I sent you a map of the area that I got from the historian of the town where the park is. And it covers the length of the creek or the brook where I was sitting at and the trees in that area. Across from that creek is an Indian burial ground. And further back from there is some kind of farm, another different kind of farm. But that's why I I saw that spirit there. And I believe that that's why Sasquatch is there to protect the area where the Indians used to be on the other side of the creek. So what Gail and I, Miss Beatty and I, and her team members are going to do when the weather gets better, because there's snow here now and a lot of ice, and we're going to have a memorial for all those people that died and are buried in these graves. they have their unmarked graves. In that map, it shows where the unmarked graves are. And it's sad. It really is sad that people were treated that way. They weren't
Yeah.
put in a box. They were just put in a hole.
That's sad.
And yeah, so that's my thoughts on Sasquatch, why he is there in the first place.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And that's the first time I ever saw a Sasquatch. I mean, I believe he was an older Sasquatch because he had like copper brown fur. His face was black, but under his neck and his chest area was like black with silver streaks. So he didn't bother me. I wasn't afraid of him. This has happened to me, not with Sasquatch in particular, but with ghosts and things like that. Um, it's just like that. I've had it all my life. So I mean, like sometimes it's like scary. I think I would be scared if he big Sasquatch came to my house area in the woods, which I think he has, but I just don't want to get myself too much involved with it. Just, I think that was a fluke that I just saw him there that time, that specific time. I'll probably remember more than after I get off the phone.
That seems to
But
happen.
well, when Gail was there, when we had um, that investigative section that time that I was telling you about,
Yeah.
Right before they closed the session for Bigfoot and the Indian Native American that Brian was talking to, his name was Chief. We thought he said Almondine, Almondine. Now I looked it up on Google, and there was a chief, but it wasn't Almondine. The first letter started with T, so it'd be T Almondine or something. And that's true because I found it on Google. And he was from the Lenape tribe, and where he was located was right where that creek is and behind it. That was before they had the farm and everything. The farm came after. So, and then so anyway, while I was sitting on that tree, and Brian and Gail and the other guys, Tom was there taking pictures and whatnot. Brian asked me, "Do you have anything to say?" Now, meantime, Gail had given me a gift, and she gave me some brand new divining rods. I never used them. I saw them on movies and things like that, but I never held any in my hand. They're made out of copper. So she says, "Here, hold this." And when I did, they went straight to my heart. They went around. I held them in my hand, and they moved by themselves outward, and then both of them came directly and pointed to my chest where my heart is. So Brian says to me, "Martha, do you have anything to say about this session or anything in the area?" And you're gonna like say, "Wow, why did you say that?" And I said, "I want to thank Sasquatch for having us here, and I respect and honor the Sasquatch that's here and any of his family." The divining rods that I held in my hand went in circles really fast and then came back and pointed right at my heart. So I feel that he was there. I feel he was right next to me, or very, very close. I didn't see him when the divining rods were going around in circles and then came back and and, aimed right at my chest. But I do feel that he's there. And I don't understand why people search for them. I don't believe they want to be searched for. It's sort of like somebody stalking you in your backyard.
Yeah.
I think that if people were more understanding and would say to them, I respect you and honor you, maybe then it would be all right. I've never heard of a Bigfoot killing anybody.
Hmm.
Maybe animals or deer or something if they're hungry, but I never heard any Sasquatch killing a human. Maybe there is, and I haven't heard from it, and I also mind speak. People ask me how I do it. I've been doing it all my life. It's sort of like, say you're driving down the road and somebody pulls out in front of you and you have a young kid in the car, so you don't want to go swearing. So in your head, you're saying you blankety blank blank,
Hmm.
It's mind speaking. It's just like that. You think what you're going to say to somebody, but you're saying it in your head. And if
Yeah.
your frequency, your energy is high, they'll know what you're talking about.
How often do you mind speak to the Sasquatch? Or is it just one?
All the time. If I go
Okay.
down to the park or I walk out of my house, like today when I got out of the car, I went to the park today. And I sent you a picture of a footprint. And I sent one to Gail, and
Yeah,
she
that's
said she
interesting.
wasn't quite sure what it was. But when I got out of the car today, um, I waved. There's like a hill right next to my house, and I just waved. I just knew something was up there. Sometimes I'll hear out of my bedroom window, I'll hear the something walking in the backyard because now there's snow and ice, and the snow and ice is really hard on the ground.
Yeah.
So I hear something there, but I say in my mind, please stay away from my house. I respected you in your area. Please respect me and don't come here. Because really, sometimes I think I would be afraid of them,
Hmm.
and then one of my friends told me you should ask him in your house. I said, I don't think he would fit through the door.
Oh, maybe the youngins.
you know, but I would say he protects my house.
Hmm.
Um, we have a lot of bears here, and I don't know if they're sleeping now or not because it's the winter time. But sometimes I'll hear a lot of noise outside, so I'll just say, "Please protect my house." But I haven't seen him up here, or nor do I feel him. Sometimes I can feel him strange, but sometimes I can feel something here looking at me, or my husband says something's looking at me, and he's outside cutting wood. I said, don't pay any attention to him. Just do what you do.
Hmm.
But I haven't heard of any bad Sasquatches. Um,
I've heard
I suppose,
stories, but you don't know what's the whole backstory on it. I feel that Sasquatch are kind of similar to humans in a way. Like, I think there's some that might be bad and some are good, just like humans.
yes, most definitely
Okay.
true. That's very true. I think that it's sort of like being prejudiced.
Yeah.
Um, you know what I mean? My
Hmm.
husband is an African American, and when we first got together 40 years ago, we had a hard time. And but after a while, it's like get over it,
Yeah.
get over it, people.
Yeah,
40
that's
years,
it
please.
don't matter no more. So it's like
You know,
they need to quit
but
doing that stuff,
I
huh?
think that I think that all they want is nothing from us but respect.
Hmm.
And if you
I
can
agree.
mind speak, if you can mind speak, do it because there's no other way that they'll talk to you unless you do that.
I find that interesting
I
because
don't think I could understand them. I don't think that I could understand them if they were talking. They would,
hmm
you know what I mean?
hmm I heard some chatter talking from supposable recordings of Sasquatch where they have a little bit of mumbling and so on, and they kind of have a some kind of they have some kind of language that we do not understand. But I think the way to understand them is like you said, mind speak. And I don't know, maybe it'll happen to me someday where I'm investigating. I'm not trying to invade their privacy or anything like that. I'm trying to be more welcoming and being respectful. And if I feel like I'm unwelcome, I will leave because I do not want to disrespect these things.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. Sometimes I'm an outdoors type person, and sometimes I love working in my garden and things like that. Um, Sometimes I'll go fishing. There's a lake close by to my house with a waterfalls, and there's always fish there. And my husband will be fishing on one end, and I'll be fishing on the other. And all of a sudden, these fish come jumping like they flew, and they land right next to me. And I'll put them in a pail. And my husband will come back. He says, "I didn't catch a darn thing." And he said, he'll look at me and he'll shake his head. I says, "Look, they just flew out of the creek and they landed here. I don't know how it happened."
Hey, Martha, going back to the Sasquatch that you've seen, can you give us a little more of for the audience as well, more of a detail of the face? What do you think? They a little more human-like or what?
The face was not human,
Okay.
and the face was not an ape.
Okay.
Although he had wide nostrils
Okay.
and a black face. His eyes were like almond, not round like a human, but almond shaped, and he had black eyes.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
I saw him in a dream, and I asked him to smile. I said, "But I don't want to see your teeth." And he was so cute. He was smiling, and he looked sort of like the Grinch type of smile. you
Interesting.
know. But
Huh.
and I kind of like. Did you ever have an animal that you just like a dog that you really loved a lot?
Oh yeah, I got an army of them, and I love them all the same.
And that's how I feel about my new friend. And that's what I call him, my friend. And I really and truly love him,
Yeah, you
but
sound like you
only
got a
as a
good
friend.
connection with them, so that's really cool. I think that's interesting, and somebody that can mind
I just,
speak and have a good connection with them. Maybe you'll learn more about them.
yes, yes, I think so. Maybe when the weather gets a little bit warmer, because
Mm-hmm.
my leg can't take the cold weather. Um, but other than that, I haven't met any bad ones. I've only met that one
Mm-hmm.
and a smaller one. I believe that smaller one that I met at the park when Gail was there was maybe a child of his or something. I'm just saying. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
Do you feel that he's
But
got a family, or is there a family of them hanging around those areas, or what?
yes, I feel he has a family.
Okay.
Because one time I sat there and I was thinking, I said, "Look, I would love to meet your family. I love children." And I had children, but I don't see them anymore and I miss them a lot.
I'm
And
sorry to hear
I'm
that.
also close to animals. I mean, I'd be walking anywhere and a dog will come up to me and start licking my pant leg or looking up at me or, uh, I just don't. My mother would tell me that. She would say to me, my nickname is Mickey. So she would say, "Mickey," she says, "the only people who like you are old people and dogs and kids." And actually, that's true.
Yeah, I got a good connection with animals. I love being around 'em. There's something about them. They got good energy, and I don't know. Every time I'm sitting out in the woods, I'll have experience with birds and squirrels coming up to me and just chilling. They don't see me as a
Yeah.
threat. And my dogs and all that, I just have an amazing connection with them. Yeah, each one could be a little stubborn, but I love them all.
Yes. And well, in regards to Sasquatch, I don't think that, in my experience, that they would harm you.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, sometimes there are bad ones. And I think that if you mind speak, that's the only way
I'll
that
give it
they
a
can
try.
hear us.
I'll give that a
And
try. So,
I think that if you have a high energy frequency, like if you meditate or you become more aware of your surroundings and listen, always have a good ear and listen. Don't let any cars or trucks or any machinery get in your way when you meditate. Um, I think that helps a lot.
hmm
Um,
so Martha, when you came on the show and you started talking about your paranormal experience too, I'm all interested in Sasquatch, but once you told me you saw a ghost, and then that, I was like, wow, okay. How often do you see these spirits?
Most of the time,
Okay.
like not so. It's in my house sometimes, but I think it's my mom
Okay.
or somebody in my family. Um, all the time,
Wow.
or yeah, all the time.
Did you see them a lot
And
when you were a kid too? And
are like, and they're sort of like mind speak also.
okay.
Um, I sometimes I'll hear singing. A lot of singing. I'm saying, I'll, I says, oh yeah, I remember that song.
Interesting. Okay.
Or I had a
So,
cousin who was the same age as I was, 16 years old. And when I was living at home, I woke up crying, and my mother came into my room and she says, "What's the matter?" And I said, his name was Art. And I said, he died. And she says, "What are you talking about?" I says, he was in a car accident and he died. And I was crying. And so about a half an hour later, the phone rang and it was my uncle.
wow.
And he told my mother that my cousin was in another car that another family member was driving, and it was raining out, and that other family member hit a tree with his car, um, and my cousin immediately passed away. And I just think that he came in my dream to tell me that, you know.
hmm
I don't dream often. I hardly ever dream because I'm too tired when I go to bed. Um,
Yeah, lately I've been having some really vivid dreams the last few months, and I'll remember them and bits and pieces of them, and it almost feels like I don't know, it's weird. I feel like I'm living in my dream, and then when I wake up, I'm all like panicky. Whoa, what the heck was that? Like, I'll startle
yes,
from it.
yeah.
So I don't know what the heck that is, but it was weird dreams.
Sometimes it gets so real, and when you wake up, you're saying, "Huh? Like,
Yeah,
what happened?"
yeah, it startles me
Yeah.
too, and I'm like, whoa. So yeah, it's interesting. I think dreams are interesting. It almost feels like we leave ourselves to some other reality or something. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yes, it is. Um, I don't know. Do you have any other questions? Does anybody else have any questions for me? Or
Well, I don't have anybody, live asking questions, but yeah, I'll got a few more for you. So out in this area where you've seen these Indian mounds, do you feel that the Sasquatches are protecting those areas from other people coming in, and they're welcoming you and Gail and the crew in that area safely?
yes, I believe that.
Okay.
I believe he is a protector of, and the reason I believe that is because when I was looking up on Google for the Indian tribes that were in this area, and they said the Lenape, Mohawk and Mohegans had lived opposite on the other side of the creek. And on that map that I showed you, there is a mound there, and
Mm-hmm.
it's right across from where that first picnic table was in the garbage can where I first smelled that awful smell. And you could see it. It's a big mound. And so I asked the town historian about it. and I did some research at the library, and it is a burial ground for Native Americans that were there. Um, the area is cleared off. There's no trees growing there, but there are trees growing around the mound. And I believe that Sasquatch is protecting them. I, maybe we don't see them. Although if you had one of those, I don't have the camera. Gail has it. Actually, Gail and I and the team members, when the weather breaks, we'd like to go on the other side of the creek. And I keep telling them, I says, I don't know about that, but I was told by the supervisor of the grounds department there at, the area of that pathway, the town park, that we are only allowed on the park side. We're not allowed to go on the other side of the creek. That you could actually see it. It's just on the other side of the creek, and there's a big mound there. And alongside of the creek, and in the back of that building that I was telling you about, that's still there. There's those unmarked graves. So Gail said next time we go there, we might have a memorial for all those who passed away there and are buried there with the graves. And who knows what will happen or what
they'll probably appreciate that. And my next question to you is, do you think the Sasquatch been around here well before us, or what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, I asked him about that. He said he's been here since time began.
Oh, okay.
I don't really think it was him per se that was here since time began, but I believe that they were here when time began, and maybe after generations or however old they are pass away, or what I should ask them what happens to their bodies, but personally I think they just disappear or they just disintegrate. I don't know.
I think they might do the same thing we do. I think maybe they bury their own, and that's why we never find a body. And nature's
True.
amazing. You basically downgrade to nothing if you're left out there in the nature, and it's amazing because you don't see skeletons of bears and cougars that often, so it's very rare.
Right.
So people ask, why don't we ever see a body? That's because nature takes over. You might get lucky and find something, but I'm pretty sure they have, and they're not telling us about it. But and people like yourself.
One time when I was down at that park, there was this lady and a young boy, and she was walking in the creek with a bucket. And I asked her what she was doing because I heard like ground, like when you take gravel off the ground and put it in something, you could hear it. I don't know what the word would be, but I asked her, what are you doing? You're destroying the area that's natural here. And she said, I'm collecting some crystals and there's arrowheads here. And she showed me, other than the soil that she had in the bucket, there was also arrowheads and crystals, sort of like pink quartz or whatever, white stones. And she said she put them in one of her machines that she has at home, and it smooths them out and she sells them. But I told her, I says, do you know that Sasquatch is here? And she just looked at me, and the young fella that she was with, whether it's her son or her grandson, he said to me, Sasquatch. And I says, yeah. I says, I've seen him. He's here all the time. And that was the last time they were there. They didn't come back, but
yeah, they're like, I'm out. A lot of people are just not, ready for it. This world that we're living in, people like you and myself that we believe in, more than what's going on. And a lot of people close themselves off to it. They just don't open their mind to it. And I think that's the problem. They're too hung up with, I call them concrete people. They just live day-to-day life,
Yeah.
and going to
I don't
work and so on.
I don't think that you'll ever get I don't know what it takes to get a picture of them on your phone because they don't like phones.
Yeah,
And
I think you're right there, because it seems like anytime you go out in the woods with electronics or technology, whatever sort, you don't get them on there. I mean, it's very rare when you get them caught on film, but a good majority of those people saying they got caught them on film are hoaxers, and it's hard to tell what's real or not because of technology. But I believe a good amount of it, it's got some good evidence of Sasquatch on film, but it's like you said, I
yeah,
don't think they liked electronics. I think they sense it, they know it. So,
yeah. And maybe one day they will.
hmm
You don't know. Maybe one day they will allow someone to take their picture.
hmm
Um, for instance, like that one picture that is going across the internet where this one Sasquatch is walking on the other side of the brook in an area where there's a lot of stones. I forgot. It was the first ever picture someone took. I'm
hmm
not good with names. Um, but who knows? Maybe one day they'll allow you to take a picture of them. But I don't think people should do that.
hmm
Um, Mainly keep it for yourself, but don't get it out there. People, most of the time, they'll say you're full of baloney or
hmm
you never saw them or do you have proof or
Exactly.
look, no, I don't have proof. I can't tell anybody I have proof. Here's a picture. I can only tell you what I saw and what I hear from him in
hmm
regards to mind speak. And I can't explain it. I've never seen a Sasquatch until I went down to the park and what transpired from there and how I feel about him.
hmm
I really I really love Sasquatch, not as a boyfriend or a love type of thing like I have for my husband.
hmm
Um, just that I respect him so much that and what he does to protect, I believe, the Native Americans that are buried there and the others that are in the unmarked graves. I believe that's why he's there.
hmm that's
So
the whole idea, is getting people like yourself, Martha, on here on the show. That's what my show's about, is getting their truth out so people can take it as they can. I like to share the truth, and what I heard from the beginning of this episode to the almost the end of it, uh, I felt it. I felt every detail, and everything you said was true. So I believe you.
thank you. I believe in, I don't know about anyone else, and I'm not pushing my faith on anyone else, but I believe in Jesus Christ and what he does and his Father in heaven. I believe that because at one time in my life, I needed my mother to stay alive, and she didn't have to deserve the way that she was heading. She
hmm
didn't deserve it. She was such a good woman. She didn't deserve to die that way. And I prayed to Jesus and I said to him, you healed the woman in the garden because she put her hand on your robe. Now I'm putting my hand on my mother and I want her to live. And I begged him, and she was in the hospital for 5 months with tubes down her throat. And when I looked at her, she looked like she was going to die. She was the color of death. And that was in 2017.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that.
I put my hands on her. She sat up and she looked awful. She sat up in bed and um, she pulled those tubes out. And my hand, that's another thing I can do is when I put my hands on someone who is sick or has a headache or their back aches, I just transfer some energy over to them and they're fine. Um, So my mom sat up in bed and pulled those tubes out. The nurses came in. They tried to put the tubes back in. My mom pushed them away, and I told them to get lost and to get a baby oxygen mask and put on her face because she lost so much weight. They did that. When I turned around on the table, there was a table there with like 20 white washcloths. I was wiping the phlegm and the blood that's coming from her mouth. And after that, my sisters came in. There was only one person really allowed to visit her because she was on the ICU. And then, believe it or not, honest to God, I swear on Jesus, in 3 days, my mom came home and she looked beautiful. She could eat like a regular person. She was in the end stages of Parkinson's.
Wow.
She lived she lived another 3 years. I asked God, how long does she have to live? And he said 3 years.
Wow.
And at 3 years, she passed away, but in her sleep.
Wow.
Um,
That's
you
amazing.
know,
That's
so I
amazing.
really, not only that, and I've had a lot of experiences where could be dead, but I thank Jesus for everything.
Mm-hmm.
He comes first in my life before my family, before anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the way it's supposed to be. This is just my feeling. I'm
Yeah.
not pushing it on anybody else.
No,
We all
you
have
have
our,
every right to share your feelings and thoughts and what you believe in, and I totally respect that. Everybody believes things differently, and that's all it needs to be is respectful. Be respectful to other
yeah,
people's beliefs. And
yes, I'm not pushing anything on anybody. I'm just
mm,
telling you my experience. That wasn't the only time. There's a million other times, but never ever feel that in a you are so far away from everybody that there's no help for you. No, don't ever feel that way. That's the other side telling you something that they don't want you to hear or
mhm.
feel.
Yeah,
Don't
it's funny that you say that because I was dealing with some of my own deep thoughts and about a year ago before I came back to the show because I took a long break. I mean, it's been a year since I did the show and I'm back in the game. I had to deal with some personal stuff, life it gets a hold of you. Trying to get in the house, and then I was dealing with depression and I'm doing a whole lot better though. I was dealing with some darkness and then I got the light and I'm feeling a lot better.
oh, that's wonderful. I mean, I don't go to church either.
I don't either. I just practice my beliefs on my own time with God and Jesus. I like to learn on my own time. I don't believe you have to go to church to learn. You just study it
I
on
don't
your
believe,
own.
I
So,
don't believe it either. You could go in your closet
hmm
and talk to God. No matter where you are, you could always talk
and that's my
to
message to all the people
your
out there.
higher
And
power, whoever.
yeah, that's our message to everybody out there. You believe what you believe and do it how you want to. Just do good things. So,
And if it works for you,
hmm
fine.
exactly.
You know? Yeah.
So. But well, Martha, it's been awesome having you on the show. I really enjoyed having a conversation with you, and there was a few questions I wanted to ask in the middle, but I just wanted to let you go because everything you said was very detailed, and I didn't want to interrupt too much. I was like, no, I'll just ask her some questions later, and that's what I'm trying to do with the show now. Just ask questions at the end, maybe get one in the middle,
One
but
thing I wanted to mention that I forgot.
yeah, go ahead.
When Gail and I and the team went to the special area tree where that tree was with no bark,
Mm-hmm.
right before we went down that path, there was a white hawk flying high in a circle right over our heads.
Wow.
Gail, Gail says, "Do you see that?" I said, "Yeah, I can't believe it." And
That's interesting. I
a
saw
little
one today too, flying over me this around, say around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock today. I saw a whitish looking hawk flying over me. I was like, whoa, it was big and
it's very
beautiful.
Gail was telling me that it's very spiritual. It's positive.
Hmm,
So
interesting.
yeah, I'm learning a lot from her. We became good friends.
Yeah, I really enjoyed having her on the show and I can't wait to bring her back.
I
So,
really appreciate her. I think we were meant to be together as friends.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
And I think she was awesome. She was great to have on the show. You can listen to the episode I just dropped today of hers, and I was learning a lot from her, and there was more to be said. So I'm definitely going to be bringing her back for part 2, and who knows, part 3.
That would be nice.
So
Well, if we ever do, uh, we're supposed to meet again in regards to the unmarked graves in the other side of the creek that we weren't allowed to go to. Um, then I will contact you, and or maybe Gail will, and
okay.
we'll let you know what happens.
Yeah, and if you know
Other than-
anybody else that would be interested in coming on the show, be sure to send them my way. I'll bring them on if they like to. Anybody that's comfortable to come on, they can come on the show. I don't care if it's paranormal, Sasquatch, UFO, conspiracy theory, you name it. I don't care what it is. You can bring on the show and share it.
Okay, that sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, Martha. I really enjoyed you.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to me to ramble on.
Oh, it was awesome. You were natural, and you definitely, that's how I know you were telling the truth, because you were a natural. Even if this was the first podcast that came on, you did incredible. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
So,
you have a nice holiday.
Oh, you too. You take care, and best luck to you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, guys, that's the show. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed having Martha on the show. Wow. Having people like her and Gail and all these other guests I had on the show in the past. Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. I want to find more people that haven't been on shows. I definitely will bring people back on and already been on podcast shows, but finding people like Martha, it was awesome, because I was like, wow, because I got a few others that, first time being on a show. And that's what I'm about, trying to find some people that haven't been on to tell their truth. And wow, I think it's going to grow into something, guys. I really am proud of my show. I think it's going to be an awesome journey for all of us exploring the truth. It's just for people who are listening. If you believe, you believe. If you don't believe, you don't believe. It's up to you to judge the person's experience or encounter or conspiracy theory or UFO, whatever. It's up to you to judge that, and I don't care how you take it, but I believe in people, and I think they have the right to tell the truth and get it out there. I know some things might sound a little woo and crazy, but you know what? The world is crazy, and if you open your mind to it, you'll see things that you didn't think were real. So I hope you enjoy the show, and I'm just stunned, because that was an incredible show right there. I really enjoyed having Martha on, and hopefully I'll have more like herself come on. So let's go ahead and plug into work, guys. If you had any type encounters with anything strange in this world, I don't care what it is. It could be Sasquatch, Dogman, UFOs, conspiracy theories, the Stick Man, little people, fairies, you name it. Anything is welcome on this show, guys. I'm all about it. And yes, I got a lot of Sasquatch, stories on my show, because that's my main subject. But I need to expand and get more stuff on here, paranormal stuff and UFOs. I'm learning that I need to reach out to some other people like Martha here, because that paranormal experience that she had, I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that, because I thought it was just Bigfoot stuff. But I really, really enjoyed listening to people's encounters like that. And give me a comment, guys. Give me a comment on the episodes you listen to and enjoy, and I hope you do enjoy. Let me know how you like I'm doing my show. I mean, I'm still going to do my show the way I want, but I like to hear your feedback. So if you're listening, please, if you're listening to on Spotify, hit that follow button, and then hit the stars on it. You can give me any star rating, I don't care. And share with your friends. If you like listening to on Spotify, just share with your friends. I'm also on iHeartRadio, Podbean, and Google. I think it's Google, I can't remember what it's called, but in Amazon Music. So I'm on a lot of other platforms. I'm trying to expand it out a little more. And YouTube is more newer for me. I've been, that's where I started actually in the past, but I stopped and got rid of that page. But I'm starting over now, and YouTube is going to be growing, I hope. Not a lot of subscribers on there yet. I'm not expected yet. So if you like watching it on YouTube or listening to it on YouTube while you're doing your daily tasks in your home or whatever, it's on there. So go ahead and subscribe and hit thumbs up and comment on there as well. So I really appreciate your guys' support. And the most important thing you can do for me, guys, is share. Share with your friends, share with your family, share with anyone, you know, and I really would appreciate it because it will help the show to get more people like Martha and Gail and, you know, Al and so on. Lots of people, you know, get people like them coming on the show. And with your help, that makes it happen. So I really appreciate you guys. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy Mountain Man Explore the Truth. I really hope you continue listening and share, guys. Most of all, important, share. I appreciate it. So if you had an encounter, email me at mountainmanett@gmail.com, or you can private message me on Facebook. Look for Blake Botel. If you have trouble with that email, you can also email me at blake.botel4@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, guys. Until next time, let's explore the truth together. Thank you, guys. Bye.